let's talk about some news. If you guys don't know what's been going on with the show recently, I've started to do a little bit of a divvying up thing. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to be talking about some news tonight, obviously, before getting into the Chud Watch over Mr. Critical Drinker here. So it's going to be kicking off the series called Hollywood Before Noon. This is not the thumbnail that's going to be on tomorrow's episode, but it is the thumbnail from the other day. This is the recap news section of Hollywood After Dark. That's a little less spicy. It's all of the news, only some of the funny. And people who just want to get that can get that. There's timestamps on that, everything else. And it's generally going to be more monetized because I'm not going to say dirty things. So there's that. Also, by the way, just because I want to put it out there again, and I want to say thank you guys. The support so far for Podio Commentary has been pretty good. It's been growing steadily. The channel has been gaining some new subscribers. The podcast has been getting some new listens. And the newest episode is all about The Mist. You guys can head over to Podio Commentary on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasts. Listen to that 44-minute long episode. Also, I've been doing some YouTube shorts that have tidbits of information as a way to kind of bolster some of the activity over on that channel. So again, I really appreciate everybody who's been checking it out. Thank you guys very, very much. So, all right, let's talk about this news today. This very first thing popping up today. Tomb Raider film in the works as Amazon makes rich rights deal for Marvel-like franchise. This is so massive to me, you guys. You guys have no freaking idea how cool this is. Right, I'm a long time Tomb Raider fan. I'm talking the 90s, baby. I'm talking, polygon titties. Yeah, I said it. We're talking like full on, just nipples that can cut glass because they literally were diamond shaped. The game was great. I love all the Tomb Raider games. Like the movies. I do. I like the movies. It's been almost 21 years since the first Tomb Raider movie came out. We had to span the 3 films during that time period. And they're all good in their own right. They are. I really enjoyed 2018's version of it, how it very much was a telling of the video game reboot from 2013, which is a game that I've played probably about 10 times now. I love the 2013 reboot of Tomb Raider, and I enjoyed the sequels as well. But that first one for me really kind of does it. And I'm really interested to see exactly what's going to be happening here. So this is what we know. Amazon is teaming up with Dimitri M. Johnson's DJ2 Entertainment to build out a connected world of the Tomb Raider franchise. This includes a feature film, a TV series written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge, who has an overall deal with Amazon. She did Fleabag. She did some of the dialogue on No Time to Die for the last Bond movie. She was L7 in Solo. I mean, whatever you want to take from that one. But she's a really talented writer. And I'm excited to see how she's able to tackle this, to be fair. So this is, so she's at least going to be doing one of these things here. Now, the idea overall is to create an interconnected world similar to what Marvel has already accomplished with the MCU. Think about that. They want to create an MCU-like interconnected universe of Lara Croft. Now, to me, that's interesting, right? I don't know how well it's going to work because the world of Lara Croft, while big and expansive, and it definitely has its villains, there's not really a lot there that we've met as often in regards to other heroes. Now, Amazon, according to a source, is apparently making one of their larger commitments to this, just like the one they did with Lord of the Rings back in 2017 when they dropped, $250 million to the Tolkien estate in order to secure the rights. And that was actually a lesser deal than what Warner Brothers or HBO had put up for the possibility of tackling that particular franchise again. It was Netflix. I'm sorry. Netflix actually had offered up, I think $275, and Amazon came in with a lower offer, but with a better deal, right? For overall stories and stuff. Anyway, Amazon and Johnson's reps have declined to comment on the matter. Waller-Bridge is attached to write the script for the TV series, but is not involved in the film or in the games. Johnson's DJ2 Entertainment recently signed a first-look deal with Amazon back in February of last year and will focus on adapting video game titles for the streaming service. They're also currently looking at adapting Life is Strange and Disco Elysium as film and TV projects. Now, we talk about this quite a bit in regards to, let's say, video game adaptations, right? Amazon right now is currently doing Fallout. We've heard rumors of like Mass Effect. Obviously, Netflix has Gears of War, The Division, Splinter Cell's an animated series that's coming sometime, hopefully this year. They are apparently doing still the Gears of War movie. I might have mentioned that. There's, I think, another Assassin's Creed thing is happening. Like, there's a lot going on with video game adaptations. Now, the question becomes, are any of them going to be any good? Obviously, The Last of Us has done very well. Something like Halo has divided the fan base. I know some fans who like it, some fans who don't. Then again, under the leadership of 343, Halo has been special, I think is a nice way to say it. But what I think is going to be happening here is this. Crystal Dynamics no longer is owned by Square Enix, who did distribute these other 3 games. They were sold off along with the Tomb Raider franchise to Embracer Group. And I do believe they are working on a new game. So it makes sense to have a new game and to have a TV show or movie or whatever. What sucks though is I feel like Alicia Vikander did a really great job in the 2018 movie, and I would have loved to have seen Nia DaCosta take it on for the second movie. I understand that when Amazon bought out MGM, that deal kind of fell with it, but MGM owns the rights to Tomb Raider, and so we're going to be seeing a lot more coming out of that. If they are also working on like Disco Elysium and Life is Strange, you can tell that there is a really big, like, they want genre-based entertainment. And I think that's where a lot of stuff is going, but it has to be well-made genre-based entertainment. And right now, Amazon doesn't really have a lot of bad stuff in that department. To be fair, their shit's pretty high quality. It's pretty high class. Netflix is like middling after all this time, and people are starting to notice, and that's going to be a big thing. We're going to be talking about a bit more about Netflix here in a minute. But I think, like, look, you've got Reacher, you've got The Terminal List, you've got like the Rainbow Six movie that Chad Stahelski is directing with Michael B. Jordan. You've got a lot of stuff for your older white boomer man over there on Amazon. They're even doing the Dark Tower series. They got, Mike Flanagan to come on over and do that. They've got so much happening on Amazon that's going to appeal to so many people that this just seems like the right direction for me. Now, let me just quickly say this, and this is just like a wish list. If I had a wish list, if I had a wish, I would absolutely, definitely, 100% hope that they would adapt the Clive Cussler novels. All right, it's 2005 Sahara starring Matthew McConaughey, Steve Zahn. Was it Penelope Cruz in that one? I forget the woman in that movie. I think it was Penelope Cruz, right? You've got Delroy Lindo. You've got Rainn Wilson. I love that movie. They need to do more with Clive Cussler. And I think a lot of older white boomer men, who is their demographic in a number of ways, would absolutely just like salivate at the lips for some of the good action adventure stuff you would get out of Clive Cussler novels. And that could be something that could be an interconnected universe, very much like the MCU. If you've ever read any of the Clive Cussler stuff, you know what I'm talking about. You guys absolutely know what I'm talking about here. There's going to be that. Now, real quick here, Music Man, I wanted to touch on this point. When you say, I didn't know they were doing Rainbow, I love that game series. This is based on the book, not based on the game. So it's not going to be Siege. It's not going to be that. It's going to be something else. But yeah, it's going to be very, very much. Let's see. Reed here did quickly bring up that Zeus and Poseidon have been cast in the Percy Jackson series. That's right, they have. I know Lance Reddick and I forget the other guy, but yeah, that's going to be pretty good too. Oh, right. McLeod brings up William H. Macy was the Admiral in Sahara. That's very right. If you have, I don't know where it's streaming. If you can watch Sahara, I'm going to do a podio on that one. I'm going to do a podio commentary on Sahara probably pretty soon, because I freaking love that. That dude Vince brings up the Dirk Pitt novels. There's a huge number of books. Not only that, but there's like all the side characters for the Clive Cussler stuff. I remember one, I think it was called, like, I forget the name of the book, but it's like it's basically zombies. They find zombies that have been able to like have everlasting, like they're basically people who found this like algae in the water that allowed them to like almost live forever, but they become like monsters, like almost like zombie-esque. It's really interesting stuff there. All right. let's talk about Netflix, because they pulled a Warner Brothers Discovery, right? They pulled a Warner Brothers Discovery here, guys. So what we found out is Netflix has offloaded 2 completed films, but the filmmakers are going to be able to shop the projects elsewhere, which is good. Yeah, David Zaslav, I'm looking at you, motherfucker. Gunnar Wiedenfels, huh? We want to see Batgirl and Scoop. Actually, I really want to see Scoop. Anyway, as Hollywood continues to grapple with the possibility of a recession, entertainment companies are turning to unloading completed projects in order to recoup their financial losses. Netflix is the latest company to join in on this trend, as a Hollywood Reporter has learned 2 feature films, Inheritance and The House/Wife, will no longer be distributed by the streaming giant. The filmmakers behind these movies are now shopping them elsewhere for distribution. This move is not unique to Netflix, as other companies such as AMC Plus, Paramount Plus, Disney, and HBO Max have also been unloading completed projects in recent months. For example, in the summer, HBO Max did announce that Batgirl was kaput, and Scoob also was not going to be released, even though for the holiday hunt, the sequel movie I was very much looking forward to. They canceled the movie, and then Zaslav still had the team complete the film. You know why that is? You know why? Because eventually, when they start making money again, they're just going to pay back the taxes on whatever they got the write-off for. So like, we're talking maybe like, in the case of Batgirl, like 20 million. I don't know what Scoob would do, but all Warner Brothers has to do is just cut a $20 million check back to the government, and they can release the fucking movie. That's all they got to do. So they're writing everything down, but when they if they're profitable ever again, if let's say James Gunn is able to make it work, then who knows? Maybe they'll find a way to bring it back. But that's really about it. And it's still really weird. But anyway, so it goes on to say here that it's reported that these movies were casualties of a new corporate strategy from parent company. Oh yeah, there we go. We're talking about the Warner Brothers things. Anyway, so it's not clear why Netflix decided to unload The Inheritance and House/Wife, but it's worth noting that these movies are being shopped elsewhere. Unlike the HBO Max titles, this trend of unloading completed projects is not limited to film, as multiple television shows have also been canceled while in various stages of production, or have had their renewals rescinded before the new season begins. AMC Networks, for example, has been seeking up to $400 million in write-downs, rescinding orders for series like Damascus, 61st Street, and Invitation to a Bonfire, all of which had either completed or were partially through production. The decision to offload these titles comes as Netflix is trying to maintain a similar level of content spend while focusing on profits from its 230 million plus subscribers globally. Last week, the streamer reported a massive Q4, adding 7.66 million paid subscribers, including its new ad tier option, which, by the way, no one is really doing the ad tier option. I know it's added in there as like a positive, but like no one's doing the ad tier option, really. But anyway, and Netflix has also been a major buying power at the Sundance Film Festival, scooping up the buzziest premiere, Fair Play, for $20 million. I mean, look, Netflix is in very much the same situation that a lot of these guys are. All right. They've realizing that Hollywood is on the verges of recession. Regal's parent company, Cineworld, I think they filed for bankruptcy or whatever, and they're closing 39 Regal cinemas around the country. 39 cinemas are closing down. And actually, the one I went to the most in San Diego is actually getting the axe next month. Really, it bothers me to think about that the theater that I've gone to the most in my entire life, literally, is being shut down. I haven't been, the last movie I saw there was Crawl, which was the last time I was in San Diego. But I mean, like, dude, I'm even like I thought about like flying down to San Diego simply to go see one last movie in this theater that I really do care about, just as like a sentimental thing. I'm not going to do it because it's not prudent or fiscally responsible. But it's just like, it sucks to see this kind of crap happen. And so these streamers are in the same boat, because if a recession hits, right, if it really does hit, if it gets really bad, people are going to pick and they're going to choose. They're not going to, they're going to like cut out what they don't need. So there's going to be a big loss. Now, remember, guys, that Netflix a year ago had talked about how they didn't hit their quarterly goal for subscribers, and they actually lost like 2 million. And some people out there thought that I forget what it was. They had something to do with it. It was some bullshit controversy oh no, some people thought it was like the cuties thing, I think, right? Whatever. It had nothing, that didn't move the needle at all. But then in the last quarter, they were able to bring in 7.66 million new people. Right. And now, did that have anything to do with the success of Wednesday? I don't know. Maybe. Had a couple other big, Knives Out was another big one in there and whatnot. So it's like they were able to still come out ahead, but they're still now looking at the content. I think they're realizing, I really do think that they're realizing that they can't just buy. They have to start really, really pushing for genre content. Look at what's going on with Amazon. We talked about that with the whole Tomb Raider thing, right? Amazon is scooping up property after property in regards to establishing universes, or, they had the Warhammer thing with Henry Cavill. They are looking at their core audience and what their audience is after, and they want to deliver that. That's what Netflix used to be, except they decided to expand way too fast and put out so much content, a lot of which was just purchased from other countries or other studios or whatever. And the quality started to delineate because they needed to feed the content machine. So the quality of content just started to slip. I mean, look at 2021, for crying out loud. Both Army of the Dead, Red Notice, two of their biggest movies of the year, both were fine. I mean, I like Army of the Dead quite a bit, but the story was kind of, and I'm hoping that Rebel Moon, given the fact that they shot part 1 and part 2 back to back, will allow for a meatier, beefier story. But Netflix, and we're going to start seeing this a lot more with these companies, and we'll have to wait to see if these movies even end up going anywhere. Now, I think the company doing it right is Universal. Universal has been releasing their films theatrically. They've been heavily playing up genre content, lower budget genre content, specifically horror and animation. That's not low budget, but I mean, they've done well with that, like Puss in Boots and Rise of Gru. Jurassic World Dominion was $1 billion hit. They've been able to reach the market really well with some of these movies. And then guess what? Not all, but most of them have been hitting PVOD within 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And in the case of Puss in Boots: The Last Wish, not only is it on PVOD, it's still doing really well theatrically. Sing did the same thing a year ago, Sing 2. They have an interesting model, and it seems to be working. Whereas Netflix is doing almost the exact opposite. And this is what happens when you're the king of the hill. Eventually, that teetering is going to get real crazy. So that's going to be fascinating to see what's going on with this. We got Protoss asking, how do you know nobody's using the ad tier? Does anyone talk about it? Do you know anyone who's gone the ad tier? I don't. I haven't seen anyone talking about it on Netflix. I've seen no articles write up about it. I've seen no one talk about it. It's just not there. It's just not there. Eventually we might go there because they're gonna continuously raise their price, but still, it's right now no one's using it. I guarantee you. Let's see. McLeod says, have you seen those big breakouts like Money Heist, Squid Game, and RRR? I have not seen Money Heist. I've seen clips of RRR and it looks amazing. Squid Game is my jam. I love Squid Game. So yeah, they have a lot of international content that's also doing really well. And that's what they get that stuff for a steal. Squid Game, I think they spent $21 million on. Let's move on here because Mia Goth has made a very interesting and not quite, not stunning and brave, uniquely symbolic statement, I guess, but it's one I back up and I support wholeheartedly. She says here that there's got to be changes at the Oscars after horror films get shut out. And obviously X and Pearl, having both come out in 2022, were movies that just, that should have been nominated. I think X should have been nominated. Mia Goth should have gotten Best Actress nomination for either X or Pearl. And I wasn't even that big of a fan of Pearl, but her acting was superb. And I think it's ridiculous that the Academy shuns horror the way that it does. But now they're looking into this whole Andrea Riseborough thing, right? For whatever fucking movie she was in, because she got the Best Actress nomination. And there's been some, I'm going to talk more about that probably maybe this week when some more info comes out. But basically they're just hold on, somebody used social media as a way to push it, and they got their friends to kind of push it. And she ended up getting nominated, and they're not happy about that, right? But you know what? Hey, man, listen, they got rid of the fan favorite shit for this year. And technically, Andrea Riseborough's friends kind of ran a subversive Oscar fan favorite, and it got her fucking nominated. So if she wins, which she won't, but if she wins, she would actually have a real Oscar. Whereas Zack Snyder, who won 2 last year, honorary symbolic Oscars, does not actually have one. Not yet, at least. Maybe one day he will. Anyway, let's find out more about this. So Mia Goth, one of the biggest horror stars of 2022, has recently spoken out about the lack of representation for horror movies at the Oscars. In an interview with Jake's Takes promoting the new horror film Infinity Pool, Goth stated that the nomination process is very political and not always based on the quality of the project, which is why, and I'm just saying this right now, hands down, full stop, Avatar: The Way of Water needs to win Best Picture. Why? Because as a whole product, as a whole thing, absolutely fucking deserves it. I'm sorry, it does. It absolutely does. You might disagree with me on that one, but you're wrong. It deserves it. One's in the chats if you guys agree with me. No other answer is going to be accepted. I only look at once. Anyway, I'm kidding. She also mentioned that there are many people involved in the decision-making process and that a change is necessary to better engage with a wider audience. Goth's comments were in reference to her lead performance in the film Pearl, which many believed should have been nominated for an Oscar. Yeah, dude, the fucking end credit sequence alone for Pearl. Like the end credit, if you haven't seen it, I'm not going to spoil it, but like if you know what I'm talking about, that last shot of that movie is wild, and like her performance is crazy. Again, like the Pearl was the second installment of Ty West's X trilogy. It received critical and commercial acclaim. Her performance was considered Oscar worthy, and the film itself was considered one of the best directed, written, and acted theater experiences of 2022. I think X was better, if I'm being honest with you. Pearl wasn't bad, but I think X was overall better. I think it was better written. The directing in Pearl was better. I'll grant that one, but it's also, again, the type of directing Ty West was going for. How he was like in X, it was more of like a 70s grindhouse kind of style, and Pearl was more one that you would have seen back from the 19 teens, right? Back during that time. But anyway, now going on to give us more information about why horror kind of gets snubbed. Film studios often choose to not market their horror films for award runs if they believe they will not have a chance of winning. Because it's money, right? It doesn't matter what the quality is. It's money. It's what it boils down to. Studios like A24, known for their mind-bending horror films, put more effort behind promoting their other films rather than their horror films. I mean, look at The Whale. The Whale got a lot of love, a bunch of nominations. Hopefully Brendan Fraser gets it. But the way films are nominated at the Oscars is not favorable towards horror, and the Oscars do not make an effort to change this, like at all. Horror-loving audiences are often left feeling discouraged when their favorite genre is not represented in the award ceremony. However, there is hope that someday performances like Mia Goth's in Pearl and Toni Collette's in Hereditary or Florence Pugh's in Midsommar will have equal opportunity to win an Oscar. In the meantime, viewers can catch, that's the end of the article on that one, but it's true. It's very true on that, right? You've got all of that craziness that goes on, right? Like horror movies. Here's the thing, guys. Let's actually have a conversation about what the fuck this is, because I think there's actually some stuff there worth actually diving into. So Oscars predominantly run on advertising. All right. That's how the Oscar game is done. The Oscar game comes into play because these companies go out there and they pay for the advertising. Right? You'll see the for your consideration all over the place. And a lot of the older people that are in the Oscars, because once you are nominated or once you win, I think you're in for life. If you win, you're in for life, definitely. But a lot of the people that are in the Oscars or in the Academy are older people who don't like horror movies. Really, that's my take on that one. And they don't, I don't think they can really market those things because, it's like it's meant to be this prestigious award, and horror is considered to be dirty and grimy and not in the way that's going to win you a lot of awards here. But we do have Saggy and Caden joining in. What's going on, guys?
Oh, we came at the same time. Oh god.
Yeah.
Phrasing. Oh my god, I just realized what I said.
Phrasing. Yeah, that's good phrasing on that one there. But we're talking about the Oscars right now. And obviously, Caden, because you have experience in the industry, you know how the Oscars get with their voting.
Yeah,
Like, why? I
sadly.
mean, like, there was a big push, and it was never going to happen. But like, look at Terrifier 2. I bring this up pretty frequently. The fans of Art the Clown were like, really, we're like the filmmakers submitted Terrifier 2 to the Oscars, to the Academy Awards. They submitted it for consideration, and it obviously didn't get it. But imagine all of those
Right.
fuddy-duddy, old, white, really conservative players in Hollywood that are having to sit down and like check, oh, what's this Terrifier 2 movie? And then Jess here also for 5, thank you, says, I believe Oscar nominated movies need to have a certain quota of tickets sold to even be nominated. There are many movies in the Oscars I've never heard of. I mean, like a lot.
I don't think if that's the case, then a lot of movies wouldn't have been nominated.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of great movies that were nominated and didn't do well in the box office. I think the reason I think to say like I think someone brought up like John Rocha and Jeff Snyder, they have a hot mic show on Thursdays. And John Rocha was talking about it. Like if you haven't seen 75% or more of the movies, don't vote for the Oscars. Like don't. Because then you are missing, like let's say I watch every single movie but The Woman King and Till and like Black Panther. Then I miss out on 3 great movies and great performances that I can be voting on, but I didn't watch those movies, and I watched Blonde and To Leslie and Fablemans, and thought like those movies should be the top 3 nominated movies when you missed out on 3 other movies, So it's like there should be like a progress bar saying, oh, if you watched every single movie that you need to watch to vote, you should like if you watch 85%, go ahead and vote. But you didn't, so
well, that's hard. That's hard to push for, to be fair. But
it is. But
because you
again,
can't.
it's like I think
Yeah.
also to do that, you also have to also widen the award season, like have it go for a little bit longer.
Well, I mean,
so
because
then
everything
they
that
can have time to watch and vote, and then vote again for the winner. So it's like there's like that type of thing also.
Yeah,
So it's
they
like
kind
there's a
of
lot of things that need to be done in the Academy and in every other award show.
Yeah, I'm not even a fan of the award shows, but I agree with getting more film. Like, I mean, if you look at the top 10 that came out that they nominated, like Avatar,
Yeah.
Avatar 2, obviously not going to win, even though I think it should, and everything. But it's like it's done. That is partially done because everyone's talking about it to get
Right.
people in to watch it. So there's that, but it's like alienating the horror fans is stupid because they're diehard, they're dedicated, and they fund
Yeah.
shit. So it's
Right.
like, it's just, I don't know, like it's dumb. Anyway, this is the last story of the day, though. The Last of Us Renewed season 2 at HBO Max. And that's big news, even though I'm not necessarily happy that they're going to go right into part 2. But this is what the article says. HBO's post-apocalyptic drama The Last of Us has been a huge success, with viewers turning in to watch as a story of Joel and Ellie unfold on their screens. The show, which stars Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey, has been met with both critical acclaim and has been renewed for a second season. This comes as no surprise, as the series has been hit with an audience has been a hit with audiences since its premiere, scoring a 97% positive on Rotten Tomatoes and earning the title of HBO's second highest viewed series debut in a decade, with viewership reaching 22 million viewers across all platforms, which I love that, by the way, Caden, because that's both HBO and HBO Max.
Oh yeah.
And they love
to
merge it.
Yeah. And like someone mentioned, like even though like HBO and like every single streaming service has been kind of withholding on actual view count rather than minutes or ratings or whatever, is that like this one actually, like we've seen that like it actually has a bigger views in both HBO Max and HBO combined than the House of Dragon and The Fall.
Yeah, it's been insane, and it's like it's such a good game, and it is very structured like a television show, so it works out well.
Like even like it didn't get into the article. It didn't say it in the article, but Neil Druckmann said it publicly that they want to do part 2 into 2 seasons because there's so much story in part 2.
But there's also a lot of dead air in part 2 as well. Like part 2
Yeah,
is
so
like I never finished it. Like to be fair,
I think
like
what RJ said this on Max's streams is that like honestly you can honestly switch some events around in part 2 and have season 2 mainly be kind of like flashback stuff as well.
yeah.
And then like have it be like half Book of Boba Fett and half Mando season 2 kind of thing. You know, like because Book of Boba Fett
You
was,
have to introduce the Abby character, which we're gonna get. I believe we're gonna get at the end of the season. Setting up the next season
or at
and
least a
whatnot.
name like we get like a like the over the head shot type of thing where it's like we don't see the actress, but like like that type of thing.
We get the Easter egg, the teaser, or whatever.
And then be like, and then they'll announce the casting for Abby of season 2 or whatever.
And that's gonna be, and I feel bad for whoever that is, to be honest with you, because she's gonna get like.
She's gonna get so much hate, and it's gonna be unwarranted.
Totally unwarranted. But going on here, the article does say the show's creators and cast have expressed their excitement and gratitude for the opportunity to continue telling the story. Executive producer Neil Druckmann said, "I'm humbled, honored, and frankly overwhelmed that so many people have tuned in and connected with our retelling of Joel and Ellie's journey." He went on to thank the team at Naughty Dog and PlayStation for their partnership and the audience for giving them the chance to continue. Executive producer Craig Mazin also expressed his gratitude to the millions of viewers who have joined them on this journey, saying, "I couldn't be more ready to dive back in." I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I know it's a couple days to the next one and shit.
Did you see Bella Ramsey's?
Yeah,
this is Bella's reaction. So yeah,
I mean, she had
we'll
to have known.
a video tomorrow, so we'll get a better like reaction other than photos, but even just on this facial expressions.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm really happy for her.
I am too. I think like a lot of people were attacking her. They were attacking her like when she was cast, and the thing is because like
weren't people like attacking her recently because she came out as gender fluid?
Did she come out as gender fluid?
Yeah.
I have no idea. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen that.
Yeah. Whatever.
Either way, I mean, like, Jesus, it's just like, who cares? Who gives a shit? Like, I don't fucking care. Like, I don't care at all. It's, I love the show. I think that she does a great job embodying the spirit of Ellie.
Right.
And she, I think Pedro Pascal does a great job. I loved, the change. Like, I know Sarah wasn't the blonde haired, blue eyed, Aryan fucking princess that people wanted her to be. But the actress who played her did an amazing job.
I like the change of Tessa's.
Oh, of her, yeah. I like the change. I mean, I love the cold open in the show
because and I honestly think that we'll get. You know what? I think so. Season 1 cold opens will be leading up to the of the infection. And then I think season 2's will be the flashbacks. Like cold opens will be other flashbacks with like the ones with
it's like Breaking Bad.
Joe.
It's going to be like Breaking Bad, but those segments are going to be like half the show or some shit like that probably.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that Shifty Gism here says they said there might not be part 3. Oh no, they're absolutely working on part 3.
I think part 3 will probably come out after season 2, so they can start writing on season 4.
Remember, there's the multiplayer. There's because they had said that they didn't do a multiplayer for The Last of Us Part 2, which is so stupid in my mind. But they gave an update recently where they said like they're still working on it and some announcements are gonna come pretty soon. And I'm like, look, clearly we know it's gonna be like a battle royale, right? It's because they're gonna tie into that shit. But I'm really hoping that it gets there. Anyway, obviously love The Last of Us. Looking forward to season 2. It's gonna be, man, when that scene happens. Oh, you think The Walking Dead is gonna turn off some viewers?
Well, like the thing is, it's like someone said this to me. It's like I'm a huge fan of Walking Dead and everything. But I think The Last of Us show and The Last of Us games do zombies better than
sure. What I'm referring to predominantly is
I know what you're saying.
When the scene happened with Negan in The Walking Dead, that literally turned off viewers.
I know.
That was like the end of the show for a lot of people. It was too much. And
Right.
they've acknowledged that. They've acknowledged how violent it went and how dark it went and how it actually negatively impacted a fair amount of the audience. Cause like, it's like this, the thing you have to remember here, guys, is that when we talk about some of these characters, when we talk about their impact on the audience, especially the longer they've been around, there is this mass, and this is what video games have on people, because you spend so many hours literally playing as somebody else. So you grow that attachment. When a character dies, like your cortisol levels raise, like you feel pain. So when you watch like the Negan bit in The Walking Dead, and here's Glenn, a character who's literally been around since episode 2 of the first season, and you watch him just get bludgeoned, you know, and it's violent. Like his eye pops out, right? Like it's super violent and everything else. That just shut people off. It was too much.
I mean, the comics literally did that.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter. The comics can do it, but the comics are like, it's not the same thing. You know what I mean? It's not going to be the same kind of visceral experience. And a lot of people aren't comic readers who are going to be used, you know, it's like,
I mean, true. But
that's
the thing with The Walking Dead, though, real quick, was something that a lot of people don't know, because if you haven't read the comics either, is that, like, The Walking Dead, I think they were testing the waters to see if they were going to go with killing off Glenn, because there was the episode a few episodes prior where it was implied that Glenn got killed, and they wanted to gauge the reaction of the fans and the general audience of how they felt the people would feel when Glenn dies, because they knew it was coming. They knew the story arc was coming where Glenn dies. So they kind of teased the audience by having an episode where it was implied that Glenn was screwed.
You're talking about the trash, the dumpster.
Yes, when he fell in the dumpster. That was a very interesting.
That was the last episode I saw, actually.
Yeah, that was a test. That was a test, because if you watch The Walking Dead, they actually changed a lot of the character arc. So, but no, you are right. Like when you see a character and you get attached to these characters and they just like die, especially in like the worst possible way, it's meant to play on your heartstrings. You're supposed to literally just shatter your soul.
It's like, what is it? There was a guy who died in season 2, whose death was replaced by another character like in season 3 or 4 or
Herschel,
whatever.
the old guy.
It wasn't No, Herschel died the way Herschel was supposed to die.
No, it wasn't. The Herschel died the way Tyrese was supposed to die.
Oh, really? Well, then Tyrese died later on. But
yeah, Tyrese died later on. But yeah, no, they did swap some deaths.
But there was like the old guy in season 2 who was torn apart by the walkers towards the end of the season. I forget his name, but like he was supposed.
Dale?
But yeah, it was Dale, and then he was supposed to be infected, and then cannibals cut off his leg and started eating, and that was reserved for the other guy in like another season. So they've done a bunch of crazy shit with that. Anyway, we've got well, sorry, real quick here. Galaxy Comics Nerd says Shane died before in the comics before they even left the quarry, but they liked John Bernthal so much that they kept him around until the end of season 2.
Yeah, Shane was supposed to die a lot sooner in the comics.
Yeah. So I mean, but it can work sometimes in these adaptations.
Well, Carol was supposed to die in the prison too, and she survived the whole freaking show.
I think because they needed to have the Daryl Carol love thing going on.
No,
maybe. Yeah. Shogun Air for 5, thank you, says the problem with Negan things that there's no retribution you could enact upon him that would make it better, other than do something just as evil to him. I mean, that is true. But I think people like, you know, that's the problem when someone goes so violent in something. It's like you've just kind of like hit that point.
Well, it's the reason why Negan was a very popular character of the comics, just because the whole aspect of the show was that the zombies weren't really the biggest problem and threat. Like, yeah, they would pretty much put humanity into the brink of extinction. But at the same time, Negan's character was basically like, when you get his backstory and then you find and you see how he's grown since he did all those evil things, like there is a form of not really retribution or redemption, but there's a better understanding of like, this is the world we are in now. And you either be this ruthless villain or you die, because that is what the world has now become. It's not about the zombies, it's about survival. And that's how Negan chose to survive and keep his people safe, by instilling fear and violence and killing people if necessary to keep his people alive.
But the governor did the same thing. But then you have
the
But the governor,
also
well, the
straight up
governor was
crazy.
also he's also a sadist. You know what I mean? So there's a lot. I mean, like it's just these characters, like, you know, Robert Kirkman like wrote these characters that kind of go like, you know, 0 to 10. It's been a while since I got to go back and finish watching. I'll tell you what, I can never get into Fear the Walking Dead.
I couldn't either.
I'll give you I'll give you the best example of this. Comic-Con, right? If you ever want to go and look to see how these shows are, go and find any of the video footage from the Walking Dead cast in Hall H and how they respond to one another. How like you've got Rick Grimes and Daryl like literally just like playing pranks on each other while they're on stage. They show behind the scenes video footage of them playing pranks on each other while on set. There's a huge camaraderie. Then pair that with the Fear the Walking Dead cast, and like they have no camaraderie. They have none. Like it's such a I saw it multiple times because they'd have one then the other, and it was just like, sure, I mean, the Fear the Walking Dead was never going to live up to The Walking Dead, but they never even really tried, I think.
The characters weren't connectable. Like, I didn't connect with any of the characters in Fear the Walking Dead. Like, I tried to watch a few episodes, and there was no connection because the way they started the first, like, the way The Walking Dead starts, it's like a whole, like, what the F is going on? You have a guy who was in coma. You don't know why he was in coma, wakes up in the hospital, and there's freaking zombies. And then he finds his wife, who has clearly moved on with his best friend, and there's just instant drama. Like, the way that Walking Dead started was like you immediately start to feel for the characters involved. With Fear the Walking Dead, it was like there was no good core establishment for these characters, which is why it just really just didn't work as well as Walking Dead did.
Yeah, I mean, but people stuck with it because it held on for multiple seasons. So there's that. But all right, guys, that's going to wrap up all the news segments of the day. If you're catching this on the Hollywood Before Noon segment, thank you. Be sure to check out the live stream for the rest of the conversation.